Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast, a show where Dillon and myself get into literally everything in and around the construction industry. We have amazing guests on from time to time, everyone from masters of trades to marketing guys to business development folks to insurance providers to bonding agents to permitting entities to you name it. We literally try to touch and include every aspect of our wonderful industry to bring great content and informative interviews and things of the such to our listening audience on a weekly basis. Once in a while, we also now do these solo shows because as Dillon and myself are both actually business owners outside of this, real life takes over, right? That's just the way it works. We don't actually make any money on this podcast by choice, although we could. We choose to keep this raw, unfiltered, and unadulterated content so that we can put out stuff that we can be proud of, stuff that helps our listening audience and helps the industry in general without being jaded by sponsors or by anybody else's opinions, because really we don't give a shit about them. So with that, guys, today's episode is going to be a solo. You get me and me alone. We're going to talk about a topic that we've touched on kind of intermittently in the last few years we've been doing this. I don't think we've ever really taken a deep dive into this, but there's some situations I've been dealing with in the last year, really, that it makes this topic very, very topical, if that makes any sense. So we're going to get right into it. So as a business owner, what's the hardest thing to manage? What is the hardest aspect of your business that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis? If you're anything like me and like probably 90% of business owners out there, the hardest thing to manage as an owner is people. Our businesses, mine especially in the construction industry, we cannot operate without people. We are not solo, lone wolf type entities usually. We are not one-man bands usually, which means that whether or not we have employees in-house per se, or if we simply subcontract everything out to our specialty contractors and consultants, we still, as owners, have a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous task to motivate, inspire, lead, and manage people. People are the largest and the most difficult variable to figure out. They're the hardest variable to pin down as to what motivates them and to what makes people tick. There's a whole list of things I could go through, but everyone knows this, especially those who are already an owner in some form or fashion in any business. People are tough, right? And it's by constant improvement and constant re-looking at your systems and your processes and making sure you're efficient and making sure your core values are well stated, making sure that your culture is where you want it to be. That's how we can overcome these obstacles with people, and we can end up with a full team of really fantastic individuals, individual personalities with individual skill sets, with individual goals and metrics and so on. We rely so heavily on people in my organization. We are growing. As I've mentioned numerous times, when I started, when I bought into the company just over 6 years ago, there was 2 employees, one full-time who was the owner and founder, and one, call it half-time employee who handled a lot of the admin side, billings, invoicings, subcontractor payments, things along that nature. So now, 6 very quick years later, we are up to 10 or 11. We have a new employee starting this week, the week that you will all hear this recording anyways, which is exciting for us. We're continuing to grow. We're continuing to expand our reach, to increase our capabilities, and all of these are wonderful things. But for us to keep doing this and to keep growing and expanding, to follow the path that I have laid in place and to attempt to meet my lofty goals, we have to keep adding people. Adding people is easy. It is very, very easy to go and find a person, an individual, man or woman, who can come in to your organization and likely make a difference in a positive direction. It is also really easy to hire an individual who can come into your organization and stretch out your holes in the boat to the point where it can sink your ship. Take that to heart, folks. Give it some thought, okay? Finding people is easy. Finding good people is very, very hard. Good people are the people that fit your core values. They're the people that fit your culture, that fit what you're trying to do. They grasp it. They grasp how they can play a role in your giant vision as the owner, as the visionary, as the leader of the organization. So we're going to kind of dig in a little bit farther on the right people, right seats aspect of the EOS system. The Entrepreneurial Operating System is a concept and a program formulated by a man named Gino Wickman. Mr. Wickman has a great book, a great series of books really, but they start with the book called Traction. Dillon and I have talked about Traction numerous times. It is a book that every business owner, especially in the construction industry, but really everywhere, should read at least once. It is a very easy to understand, very quick reading book that breaks down a great method on running your company. From people to systems to everything in between, and then there's a lot more than that too. So check it out. The book's called Traction. One of the concepts in Traction, as I mentioned, because people are the hardest part of managing any organization, one of the components is called the people component, ironically or not. So in the people component, we have this right people, right seats concept. The right people, right seats concept basically it is easy to break down. So in any role, in any business, you have what are right people and you have what are right seats. We'll start with the right people. Right people are individuals that share your core values. They fit and they thrive in your culture. They enjoy being around, and you and your team enjoys being around them. They make your organization a better place to be. That, in a nutshell, is the right people criteria. It's pretty easy to understand, really. Next, we have the right seat. The right seat is a aspect or a concept of this whole people component, whereby your person, your employee, is operating within the area of their greatest skill and passion. This means that the roles and responsibilities that they are expected to perform and to maintain fall within their unique ability. Everyone has a unique ability. Everyone has things that they're good at. Everyone has things that they're not good at. So what you want to do is make sure that the people you're putting in certain roles are really a good fit for that role. They're really a good fit for that seat. Okay. Now we're going to talk kind of how this all mixes together, because as you'll hear here shortly, you really can't have one without the other. Okay. You can't have just a right person and you can't have just a right seat, because things will get ugly. They'll get sticky. They'll get uncomfortable. So what you're looking for at all times in every role across your organization is to have the right people in the right seats. And this is a simple concept to understand, but it is not an easy one to implement. This goes like anything else in business. There are challenges along the way. Nobody will be perfect at this. Is certainly not the first time or few times that they try to get it right. But as with anything in business, as in life, the goal is to continuously improve, to keep getting better. And that means getting better yourself as a leader, as an owner. That means making your team better. That means getting everyone around you better. So let's start off with four of the options, as I'm going to call them. So option number one, you have the right person. However, they are in the wrong seat. The right person, again, means that this person fits with your core values. They are a good person. You like being around them. They mesh well with your culture. A lot of times in this situation, this person may have been in your organization for quite some time. For one reason or another, this person is in the wrong seat, though, which means that they're not operating in their unique ability. They're not in a role with responsibilities that coincide with what they are best at, with their individual skill sets. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, it's not a bad thing, but everyone has traits and and responsibilities and roles and aspects of their operating performance that are good and some that are not so good. This is not, again, a good or bad analysis. It's just reality. Some people are better at certain tasks than others. Myself, I am a terrible project manager. I am not that organized. I get very distracted by shiny objects. I hate with a passion all of the fucking paperwork that goes along with being a project manager. Now, I have done it. I have done it at a high level for numerous years throughout my career because of the fact that I had to, frankly. But I'm just not good at it, which is why when I started this journey, I started looking for a good project manager or good project managers to bring on my team to take that burden off of me and allow me to then go focus on things that I am actually good at and that I do have passion for and I like and I enjoy. So back to the right person, wrong seat. A very typical circumstance in this, as I mentioned, is when the right person has been in your organization for quite some time. You've grown accustomed to them. You've grown comfortable with them. Again, they fit your values. They fit your culture. They're overall a great person. What can happen, and I've done it personally in our organization, I've seen it and I've done it, is for one reason or another, a vacancy in a role comes up. Somebody leaves, somebody gets removed. There's a couple different ways that happens, but basically what you're left with is a void, and you need to fill the void in any business to keep on going because it's a hole in your boat, and you don't want to let it fester. You don't want to let it to remain. The right thing to do is not always the easiest. Sometimes it is easiest to grab the right person from your organization, the person that you're comfortable with, that's been there for a while, that matches your culture and your values, and hastily promote or reprogram a person into a role where they quite probably are not the right fit. That would be putting someone in the wrong seat. Another one is when, frankly, the right person, again, they match your values and your culture, but they've just outgrown a certain role. This happens too with growth and with learning and with constant improvement. As an organization that prides ourselves on constant learning and constant improvement, it's to be expected that people will eventually outgrow their roles, or some people will outgrow their roles. Now, the best thing you can do is have a newer, more challenging role or a different role more suited to an individual's specific skill sets and unique abilities. You'll have that role waiting for them when they arrive to that level where they can take it on. But either way, when you leave someone then in a role they've outgrown, that's a right person in a wrong seat, and it can be a problem. It can be a disaster. The last one to touch on, and I've also experienced this, is when the flip side happens. When you have a right person, the person meets your core values and your culture. They've probably been there for quite a long time. But in this case, the role outgrows the person. And this is another factor of a constantly improving and constantly expanding and growing company, especially in the construction world. It is not atypical for a small company to start on a growth trajectory that increases revenue, increases headcount, increases bottom line profit, all of these things that as a business owner you want. But it also means that the roles, the seats that previously were, let's say, capped at a certain level of involvement, a certain level of responsibility, a certain level of efficiency needed, a certain level of skill needed. Well, now those roles are growing because the company's growing. And so if the right person in that wrong seat cannot grow along with the responsibilities of the seat, of the role, you have a similar problem, and the role just literally outgrows the person. Now, best case scenario with any of these three options here is that you have an available right seat ready to move this person into. So when you can take the person who was promoted or moved to a new position, but it didn't work out, when you can take that person and put them into a role that does fit their unique abilities, that does fit their skill sets, that's a win-win. It's a win for me as an owner because now I know that I have a employee, a teammate who is filling a role that we desperately need, and that they're doing it at a very high level and that they're enjoying it, right? They're not just punching a clock. The same as when you have an employee or a teammate that outgrows their role. The best case scenario is that you have another role, like I mentioned, kind of ready and waiting. Here's the next step. Here's the next evolution of your life cycle at Schaefer Construction, for example. Instead of being a project engineer, now you're going to be a project manager or a pre-construction manager or a director or whatever it may be. The last option is a harder one to overcome, I've found personally, and that is when the role outgrows the person. It depends on what the role is. If the role is conducive to having roles underneath it, perhaps you can take that right person who's been there for a while and generally fits your values and culture, and you can repurpose that person into a different role that more closely aligns with their unique abilities. What I've found is in a small but growing company such as ours, that just doesn't typically happen, right? There isn't an option there to move that person to. And if that's the case, or if it's the case with any of the options here, any of the other circumstances, if there's not a role available to move someone in, then you have a very tough choice to make. And this one in particular is the hardest decision you will make as a leader, as a business owner. We all know what it means. There's lots of different terms we can call it, but the reality is when you have to terminate your relationship with a person who is the right person for your company, but you have to terminate because you don't have the right seat for that person, it stings. It sucks. It keeps you up at night. It's not a fun day or a few days, but realistically, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when all of the ripples have smoothed out and you're back in smooth water, you as the business owner and most likely the person, the previous employee, will all recognize that what had to be done was done, and everyone on both sides of the table, everyone is now better off for it. Sometimes it takes a couple hours, sometimes it takes a couple years for all parties to recognize this, but the reality is when you have the right person, but you just don't have the right seat for them, then it's a problem for the business. And at the end of the day, as an owner, as a leader, we're here for one thing primarily, and that is to keep the business going. Because without the business going, we don't feed all the families we support, we don't produce what we need to produce, we don't have a healthy and growing economic reality here that we can all share in. So you have to do what's right for the business, and that's just the way it goes. Tough decisions come along with the job title, come along with the office, so you need to be ready to do that. Right person, wrong seat, hardest decision you'll ever have to make as an owner. Next up, excuse me, I spilled water all over myself. Next up, we have the wrong person, right seat phenomenon. Now, this is a little bit different. So the wrong person in the right seat, this person is good at their roles. They are in a position that fits their unique abilities. They have responsibilities and expectations that they are, frankly, probably really good at managing and at producing. However, this person does not fit your core values. They don't fit your culture. This is a hard one to get around because typically these are people that I've found anyways. These are the people that I hired fast, that I didn't spend the time with ahead of time because either, usually it's because I had a dire need, right? Especially as a small and growing company, if you have one, you have none. That's a motto that one of my mentors taught me a long time ago, meaning if I only have one project manager, really I have nothing. Because if that project manager leaves, I'm screwed. If I only have one superintendent, really I have nothing. Because if that superintendent leaves, we're fucked. So the wrong person, right seat concept, in my experience anyways, has always happened when there has been a dire and immediate need that I had to fill. Right? We had a superintendent leave, which meant now, because of our size, I'm playing superintendent. At the time, in this specific instance, I was also playing project manager. I was also playing business development, sales, estimator, business owner, head janitor, lunch guy. I was doing everything. Something had to change. So we reached out. We went through some normal channels to find some people to talk to. We found a guy who we thought would fit, and we brought them into the fold at a very high level. And as is what usually happens when a person truly doesn't fit your core values and your culture, what that becomes is basically a slow death to your culture and a slow death to your company if you don't fix it eventually. We talk a lot about cancers, and that's not to make light of the disease, but it's an analogy that holds true here. And if you have a person, the wrong person, at any level in your organization, they will become a disease. They will become a disease that will fester and will ultimately kill your culture. And once your culture dies, your company dies with it. This person must go. No questions asked. It's unfortunate that typically, at least in my experience, we had to go through some of these exercises and gyrations to get to this realization. And again, I'll take the blame for most of it, because typically it's been when I'm rushing, when I'm pinned against the wall and I have to get someone in to fill a role so that I can keep producing and that I can keep moving this ship forward. Sometimes I've made decisions that didn't have enough backing behind them, that didn't have enough time put into them. The hiring process should not be a quick one, ever. The firing process should be almost immediate. That's a different topic for a different show. And if you remind me and Dillon, we can bring it up. But just know that right now, if you have the wrong person in the wrong seat, the person has to go, and they have to go now. The third option in the right people, right seats, the people component, that is, the third option is a real easy one. This is the worst one around, and frankly, you should never find yourself in this position with having this issue. However, if you do, it is a very quick and very easy decision. That is having the wrong person in the wrong seat. The wrong person in the wrong seat does not fit your core values. They do not fit your culture. Now, this doesn't mean that when you hired them, they didn't fit your core values or their culture. Sometimes this happens too, and we've seen this. Sometimes you have someone who works for you, whether you hired them or someone before you hired them or whatnot. This person has been there for a long time. And upon first glance, they really did, or maybe really do, meet your core values, and they fit your culture. They help your organization grow. But something happens. There's a litany of examples that could explain this, but something happens along the way, and this person becomes jaded. They start getting jaded with your vision. They start getting jaded with the culture, and they start losing track of the company's core values. This is a problem. Couple that wrong person now with the wrong seat, which means this person is just not good at their role. They are not cut out for the role you have put them in. They are not operating within their unique abilities. The responsibilities of the role they are in are either too much for them or too little for them. Regardless of which direction on the spectrum they are, they just are not a good fit for that seat. Again, this can happen in numerous ways, and Mr. Wickman, in his book, I don't think specifically mentions this, but I do feel that it is possible for any of the above-mentioned options, the right person in the wrong seat, the wrong person in the right seat, even the right person in the right seat, without proper leadership and without proper management and vision and culture, any one of those could slowly digress into the wrong person in the wrong seat. And if that happens, it's on you, brother. You're the fucking boss here. You're the owner. You are the buck stops here, son of a bitch that is in charge of making sure that this ship keeps floating in the right direction. And if you have good people, right people, floating down this list, down this spectrum, and turning into wrong people in the wrong seat, that is on you. That is 1,000% on you. And either you need to fix it immediately, or you need to cut bait and find something else to do because you're doing a shit job at your job. I can't put it any more bluntly. If you have wrong people in the wrong seat that used to be right people in the right seat, or any combination, it's on you. You're failing as a leader. So figure it the hell out. Because if you don't, you're taking a lot of people down with you, and that's just frankly not fair. It's not good business. It's not good karma. It's not good anything. Lastly, let's talk about the easy one. This is the best one. This is the one you aim for, that you aim for in all of the roles up and down your organization. It is the right people in the right seats. We've talked about these two at length already today, so I don't need to explain them in great detail, but the right people are a great fit with your core values. They are a great fit with your culture. They mesh with your vision. They understand where you are taking this company. They are in the right seat. They are correct and great at their role. The responsibilities that they have assigned to them through their job title, through their role, are well within their unique abilities, in their wheelhouse. They're good at it. These are the people that you want in your organization, top to bottom. These are the people you take care of. These are the people you cherish. These are the people that you help. You offer an ear to when they need it. You offer advice when they need it. You pat them on the back and say good job when they need it. You figure out whatever it is you have to do to keep these people happy and productive, because these are the people that make the world go round in your business. Do not lose sight of that ever. So we've talked a bit today about the people component of the traction and EOS system. Really, guys, the people side of it boils down to core values and culture. And I want to make something very, very clear. Okay, core values, it's not a right or wrong argument. It's a yes or no, okay? If someone matches the core values that I have put in place for my organization, that's a yes. It's easy, right? They fit them. They embody these values. They live these values that I have put in place that I live. If they don't, it's a no. That's it. Yes or no. You fit or you don't fit. If you fit our core values, you could be a very welcomed part of our team. If you don't, you don't. And again, it's not right or wrong. It's not a situation where if you don't mesh with our core values, you're gonna spend the rest of your life homeless with no friends. Okay, I mean you might, but not necessarily. Okay, if you don't fit our core values, you just don't fit our team, and it would do us all, myself, yourself, and my team, a great disservice for me to bring you into the fold, because core values are also one of those things that, we talked a bit about the wrong person in the right seat phenomenon earlier. I do think core values can fade and wane over time. I'm not sure that core values can be built. I think core values have to be in you already. They have to be already ingrained in who you are as a unique human being, as a patron on this revolving sphere that we all live on. I think they have to be there. Maybe you don't know they're there. Maybe you don't know how to describe them or show them quite yet. But I do think core values are within. And that's why our interviewing process focuses very, very heavily on core values, on fleshing that out. Now, we've gotten pretty good at interviewing. When I first started doing this, it was real rudimentary. And I would literally ask people, are you humbly confident? Are you a problem solver? Do you embody honesty and integrity? Tell me about a time you were respectful. Do you have a 100 to 0 mindset? Do you even know what the fuck that means? Well, now we have expanded our repertoire of questions and of scenarios that we can place in front of a potential candidate, where it's not so cut and dry as in a question form. We ask questions that dig to the root of the values without specifically having to throw them out there. So, quick tip to anyone who's interviewing with me or anyone on my team: if you don't at least take a quick look on our website or our social media and figure out what the hell our core values are, you're wasting your time and you're wasting our time. And in an industry that is judged and based so much on time, I would highly suggest that you don't waste anyone's time, yourself included. Take a look at the core values. Take a look at the culture of a company that you are purporting to want to be involved with. Maybe you're a great fit, maybe you're not. Again, it's not a right or wrong, it's simply a yes or no. Make sure you figure that part out. We're going to get going here pretty soon, but I also wanted to touch on something else here. Along with this whole thing with the people component, I think a lot of issues that come up are typically because of failures on the leadership team. Yes, there are times when people just fall out of favor with your culture. They no longer represent your core values. Maybe they never did. Maybe they were really good at faking it. We've had that experience too, when they, someone can fake it till they make it, except they never make it. They just break it. And those are the people that have to go. But a lot of times in a normal situation, I think one of the biggest problems to all of the above, to your people component, is not setting clear expectations of roles, responsibilities, and job descriptions. How in the fuck do you expect, as a leader, how do you expect someone to come into your organization and fill a role, fill the responsibilities, fill the job description that you need, that you want, that you demand? How do you expect them to do this if you never fucking tell them what these things are? You can't. What you can't do is let someone loose into the ocean in a boat with no paddles. And that's basically what you're doing if you bring someone on board without a constant reminder of what the expectations are for that person, for that role, for that seat. We have struggled with this, quite honestly. We still probably need to get better at this. That's part of the constant improvement cycle of owning a business. But I can say we do need to get better at this. Okay, we expect people to know what we know. And sometimes in this industry, especially for us old dogs who have been around for a while, we forget how much we actually know. There's a saying that goes around a lot in this industry too, that's you don't know what you don't know. Well, that fits with on the employee side. A lot of times, a new employee especially just strictly doesn't know what they don't know. They haven't been around long enough or part of your culture long enough to even really know what these expectations are and what the roles are and what the responsibilities are, without someone constantly putting it in their face, constantly reminding them. The same thing occurs on the leadership side. We very often forget how much we really do know. We've been doing this a long ass time. We have been through ups and downs, and we have been bloodied and beaten and bruised by this industry so many times, and we've learned from every single experience. We've learned from every time we've gotten our proverbial asses kicked, every time we've been dragged through the mud, every time we've been left out to die on the side of the road. We've learned, and we fought back, and we figured these things out. We figured ways to be better, ways to be more efficient, ways to be more capable. It's very easy as a leader who's been in this industry, which is a rough and tough industry, okay? Construction waits for nobody. Construction is a lot of type A personalities. It's a lot of grit. It's a freaking fantastic place to be. But you learn a lot by seeing and by doing and by being forced into experiences. And when you've been around for as long as I have, or as long as some of my higher level people have, you just simply forget how much it is you've actually learned and how much you've grown in your own personal journey in the construction world. And when you forget that, it makes it really easy to get pissed at people, new employees, when they're not doing things the same way that you expect them to be done, when they're not operating in a way that you expect them to operate. There's lots of examples I could get into here, but I think you get the point. You can't rightfully expect people to operate and produce the way you want them to operate and produce unless you fucking tell them how they are supposed to operate and produce. Let that sink in a minute. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. You cannot expect people to operate and produce how you want them to unless you take the time over and over and over again to tell them, to show them, and to teach them how you want them to operate and produce in your organization. Period. If you don't take the time to do this, or if you accommodate people that don't have the capability to do this because you like them, or because it's easier, or because it's less mental turmoil to deal with, that equals death to a company. Accountabilities have to be clearly defined. You need to have an accountability chart in place. We'll talk about that in an upcoming episode. But you need to have roles and expectations and responsibilities clearly defined, and you need to take the time with your team to review these on a frequent, repeating basis. Once you can get these things solved, once you can figure out what you actually want of your people, and once you figure out how to communicate that to your people to get them understanding and really knowing what their roles and responsibilities are, that's when you build on something amazing. That's when you know that you've got right people in the right seats. And that's when you succeed. Guys, I went even a little longer than I planned on today, especially for a solo episode, so we're going to wrap it up here. I like this, so I want some feedback. Jump online, shoot me a note, DM me, however the hell you like to communicate, and let me know what you thought about this topic. Let me know what you think about kind of these more in-depth, detailed, strategic analyses of running a business from the perspective of a guy who runs a business. Let me know if you want to hear more of these. I'm thinking next time I'll get more into the people analyzer component of the traction and EOS system. But again, take a minute and shoot me a note. Get in touch with me somehow. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your feedback. As always, guys, we're not taking any money for this show as of right now. We're not making any money. We're not selling ads. We're not, wasting your time with a bunch of crap that doesn't mean anything. Do us a solid and help us out so we can keep doing this. Share the show, like the show, give us a review on iTunes, on Spotify, wherever you listen to it. Check out our YouTube channel. It is rapidly growing. We have a great young man who has really taken leaps and bounds recently and is creating these shorts or reels or whatever the fuck they're called. I don't really even understand them, but it's driving a lot of engagement. It's driving a lot of people to see the visual side of what we do. So some of these solo episodes don't have a video associated with it, but most of our other shows and certainly all of our interview shows do. So check it out on YouTube at the Construction Corner Podcast. Until next time, y'all, that's what I got. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.